China just broke through the Israeli border and sent water and supplies to Gaza, while America is the one that has been supplying for this entire war. When are you guys going to admit that we have been duped, we have been bamboozled, and we are actually the bad guys?
The contrast couldn't be more stark. While Gaza faces one of the worst humanitarian crises in our time, two global powers have taken dramatically different approaches. China has consistently delivered food, medicine, and essential supplies to Palestinian families, while the United States has provided billions in military aid and weapons to Israel. Today we're examining this tale of two responses, one focused on saving lives, the other on supplying the means to take them. Let's look at what's actually happened over the past year and a half with verified sources you can see for yourself.
The question of Palestine is the biggest wound to human conscience. As we speak, the conflict in Gaza is still going on, causing more casualties with each passing day. Fighting has started in Lebanon again, but might cannot replace justice. Palestine's long-held aspiration to establish an independent state should not be shunned anymore, and the historical injustice suffered by the Palestinian people should not be ignored anymore.
In February 2025, China signed a major cooperation agreement with the Palestinian Ministry of Social Development, providing 20 million Chinese yuan worth of essential food supplies, including rice, sugar, flour, milk, and oils. This aid specifically targets vulnerable families in Gaza, with distribution coordinated through the Jordan Hashemite charity organization to ensure it reaches those most in need. Palestinian Minister of Social Development, Dr. Sama Hamad, emphasized that this assistance is part of ongoing efforts to strengthen cooperation with international partners and alleviate the hardships faced by vulnerable families in Gaza. Now let's go back a year, March 2024. During Ramadan in March 2024, China intensified its humanitarian efforts, sending 450 tons of rice to Gaza. The shipment arrived at Egypt's Port Said on March 28 and was transported to Gaza through the Rafah crossing. This was part of China's ongoing commitment to provide assistance within its capacity to the Palestinian people. By April 2024, China had sent multiple batches of humanitarian assistance to Gaza, including food, medicine, medical supplies, and cash aid. According to Li Ming, a spokesman for the China International Development Corporation Agency, a batch of 450 metric tons of rice had already arrived at Port Said in Egypt, with another 450 tons of flour scheduled to arrive in mid-April. This aid was part of China's broader humanitarian efforts, which included implementing more than 800 emergency humanitarian aid projects in some 40 countries over the past 6 years, making China the largest provider of humanitarian assistance among developing nations.
国际和地区形势如何变化，中方都坚定支持巴勒斯坦人民正义事业，始终从巴勒斯坦人民站在一起。
Beyond direct aid, China has also been a vocal advocate for Gaza on the international stage. In May 2025, Chinese Representative Ma Xinming told the International Court of Justice that the humanitarian crisis in Gaza had reached unprecedented levels, stating, "The situation grows more desperate. In Gaza and throughout the occupied territories, we are witnessing an unprecedented humanitarian crisis threatening to overwhelm an already suffering people." China emphasized that Israel has a clear legal obligation to accept humanitarian assistance from third parties when the population is inadequately supplied, and called on the court to uphold international law and international justice. In stark contrast to China's humanitarian approach, in March 2025, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio signed a declaration using emergency authorities to expedite the delivery of approximately $4 billion in military assistance to Israel. The official statement from the U.S. Department of State declared that this was yet another sign that Israel has no greater ally in the White House than President Trump. The statement also noted that since taking office, the Trump administration had approved nearly $12 billion in major foreign military sales to Israel.
Again, yes, I think that the policy of, without speaking out of turn, I'm confident in saying that President Trump's administration will continue to be perhaps the most pro-Israel administration in American history.
According to a comprehensive report by Brown University's Watson Institute, the United States spent at least $22.76 billion in support of Israel's war on Gaza and operations against the Houthis in Yemen between October 2023 and September 2024. The $17.9 billion in military aid to Israel during this period was the highest annual total ever recorded. A large part of the U.S.-delivered arsenal consisted of munitions, including artillery shells and 2,000-pound bombs, the very weapons that have devastated Gaza's civilian infrastructure. And let's not forget, on October 4th, 2024, then-President Biden made a telling statement about U.S. support for Israel's military operations. And I quote, "No administration has helped Israel more than I have." The Al Jazeera report citing Brown University research noted that the funding for Israel's war had increasingly divided Americans due to the mounting civilian death toll in Gaza and Lebanon, with weapons experts pointing to U.S.-funded munitions likely used by Israel's military to hit tent camps and schools. In July 2024, 12 former U.S. government officials warned that U.S. arms shipments to Israel were making the country complicit in the destruction of Gaza, stating, "America's diplomatic cover for and continuous flow of arms to Israel has ensured our undeniable complicity in the killing and forced starvation of a besieged Palestinian population in Gaza."
And so I learned a long time ago, you don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. I'm a Zionist.
The contrasts between these two approaches couldn't be clearer. China's approach, delivering food, medicine, and essential supplies directly to Palestinian families in need while advocating for humanitarian access and international law at global forums. America's approach, providing billions in military aid, expediting weapons shipments, and supporting Israel's military operations with minimal conditions despite growing concerns about civilian casualties. As the American in our opening clip pointed out, this stark difference raises profound questions about which country is truly helping the people of Gaza and which is contributing to their suffering. The evidence speaks for itself. While China has consistently worked to alleviate the humanitarian crisis in Gaza through direct aid and diplomatic advocacy, the United States has primarily focused on arming one side of the conflict. As we've documented with verified sources, China's aid efforts have provided food, medicine, and essential supplies to Palestinian families, while American taxpayer dollars have funded the bombs and weapons that have devastated Gaza's infrastructure and civilian population. The question posed by our opening speaker remains powerful. When will Americans recognize this reality? And more importantly, what does it say about our values and our role in the world when another nation is breaking through borders to deliver humanitarian aid while we're breaking records for military assistance? These are the questions we must grapple with as we witness these two drastically different approaches to one of the most devastating humanitarian crises of our time. Thanks for watching, and if you want to stay updated on similar topics, hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. Until next time, take care. Bye.
Rubio, will you call for ceasefire?
No, I will not.
Gaza?
On the contrary.
Rubio,
Are you filming it?
wait,
So I want you guys to get this. I want them to destroy every element of Hamas they can get their hands on. These people are vicious animals who did horrifying crimes. And I hope you guys post that.
And what about the civilians that are being killed every day?
Hamas should stop hiding behind civilians, putting civilians in the way. Hamas knew that this was going to lead to this. So Hamas should stop building their military installations underneath hospitals.
So you don't care that 15,000 have died? You don't care about the babies that are being killed every day?
I think it's horrifying. I think it's terrible, and I think Hamas is 100% to blame. That's what I think. Make sure you post that, please.